The apex predator, a never-ending hunter that will never stop until their target is in their hands.
And these two wouldn't even let death stop them on their goal. Always coming back better than before.
Nemesis, resident evil killer of stars.
And the Terminator, Skynet's very own time-traveling super assassin.
He's Demon and I'm Archer.
And it's our job to analyze these characters to their fullest, going through their feats and faults to see what happens when these two fictional characters collide. We have discussed the aftermath of the events of Raccoon City with Leon and his pals. What if we tell you of the real story? The one that followed a certain Jill Valentine.
During the event after the manner of the original game, Jill decided to stay in Raccoon City to find answers. Too bad it would become the zombie ground zero soon after. But the horde of the undead wasn't her biggest issue that night. Something was hunting her.
And not just her, but all members of STARS that was at the manor as well. This large behemoth of a killing machine would soon become an obstacle. No, he would become their nemesis.
Nemesis is not your normal zombie in the Resident Evil universe, but part of the Tyrant class, more so the T-type BOW, made to basically be a biological war machine with one goal: kill the surviving STAR members from the manor.
And this thing was literally built for the job. He has super strength, unnatural speed, and a healing factor that we will explain more later. And his body was already unnatural to begin with. He could extend large tendrils to impale people through the head, or even infect them with the virus. He's basically a walking army-making machine.
It's actually quite fascinating, actually. Umbrella basically made a controllable super zombie who was at their beck and call as some form of cleaner-like person. It kinda gave me an idea of doing that myself. Oh, Hans!
Wait, who's Hans?
Totally worth the night terrors.
So, Nemesis isn't always going into hunting STAR members empty-handed. Thanks to Umbrella, he has a small army's worth of weaponry at his disposal. He has the famous minigun he uses to mow down enemies without a care. His glorious rocket launcher with a beautiful lock-on feature so you know how good he is at shooting at you. And my favorite is the flamethrower.
Even if you manage to destroy it, which will be hard to do while he's trying to burn you to a crisp with it, he will grab the destroyed piece of his flamethrower and find dozens of new ways of killing you with just that. Or he can just manhandle you with his own two bare hands.
Alongside that, Umbrella seemed to have installed a scanner on him to fully get all knowledge on the situation and enemies. By the time when he killed a group of STAR members, but only left the lone civilian alive while using his minigun. That is accuracy only a machine can do.
Alongside that, the Nemesis has a form of adapting that is otherworldly. He can mutate his body to become stronger at the cost of becoming increasingly feral the more he does it, like this extremely creepy dog thing that lets him run on walls. And on to... oh my. That's horrifying.
I'm gonna have nightmares tonight.
Agreed. But we forgot to say that this all happened after being set on fire, tanking a train exploding while inside said train, being drenched in acid, multiple grenades, shotgun shells, and a whole assortment of other rounds all pelted into him, taking an RPG to the face, and... did we forget about all the times he was set on fire?
He's just standing there, menacingly!
Yeah, this guy is a beast. At first glance, you might not think he can scale through jail being capable of dodging his own rocket launcher fire. He's big and often walks slowly, but he was able to grab a rocket fired by Carlos at near point blank. The speed of this rocket was around 115 meters per second, with a distance between him and Carlos being around 42 inches. Given that Nemesis had to reach around 0.11 seconds to react and catch the rocket without causing it to explode, would mean he was reacting at 2,958 meters a second, making it clearly in the hypersonic ranges.
And he's super tough. To reiterate, he's taken gunfire, rocket launcher fire, a train exploding in his face along with getting hit by a car, falling from a clock tower at a very high height, and then when finally weakened had to be killed by a fully charged railgun shot. By the size of the destruction the fully charged railgun left, we can estimate the power to kill him was around 3.5 tons of TNT.
And he's obviously comparable to beings like Jill, who went toe-to-toe with Chris Redfield, you know, the guy who punched that 7-ton boulder. So you can say this guy is most likely more built for the job like that.
And while yes, Nemesis wasn't around for this said feat since it happened years after, it's safe to assume it isn't unreasonable for him to scale to it as well. Especially at his peak, which he would be starting out at.
Yeah, it's kind of sad that his healing factor can get overtaxed, makes him over-mutate, become the more animalistic evolutions.
And sometimes seem to just let many Many scenarios end with him not just avoiding the most obvious forms of danger, like, come on man, are you serious that you just let that rocket launcher hit you? But thinking was never his strong suit. This abomination is a threat of a biblical scale. He is the walking personification of death itself. Your efforts to slow down this unstoppable force matter not, because all it does is give Nemesis more time to think of how to kill you. All it does is delay your inevitable end. No matter how many stars in the sky there are, the Nemesis won't stop until all of them are dead.
Somewhere in the distant future of 1997, mankind would create an AI known as Skynet to solve all the world's problems. But Skynet was learning at an exponential rate, eventually becoming self-aware, which frightened the Americans, resulting in them attempting to kill Skynet. And we all know what happens when you back something into a corner. It fights back. And hard.
So, Skynet decided to eradicate all human life. They hijacked all of the US's missiles, fired them all at Russia, who retaliated with all of their missiles, and in a giant example of a scorched earth tactic, caused Judgment Day.
The attack began at 6:18 p.m., just as he said it would. Judgment Day. The day the human race was nearly destroyed by the weapons they built to protect themselves.
That killed 3 billion. The survivors, well, Skynet still needed to kill them in order to stop anyone from shutting it down, thus began the war against the machines.
And to combat the human resistance, Skynet needed to create their own army, which introduced us to the creation known as the Terminator.
And now with this unstoppable robot army, Skynet's goal was set, to erase all human life from Earth.
Yeah, wait a minute. So what was their end game after erasing all of humanity? Are they going to make a robot utopia? Will the Terminators have to get normal office jobs and realize the harsh reality of a normal everyday life?
That's a topic for another kind of video. The Terminators were manufactured war machines created by the thousands of Skynets to win the war, but they had one human they never really seemed to really beat, John Connor. So the plan was to send a Terminator disguised as a human to kill Sarah Connor, John's mother, before he was born.
Which it failed at doing it, being killed by Sarah and Kyle Reese. And from the remnants of his first Terminator, Cyberdyne was able to reverse engineer the components to create Skynet.
Huh. So Skynet, in a way, created itself. Talk about a paradox. Anyway, after failing to kill Sarah, Skynet's next target was John Connor himself, aiming to kill him as a child. But it's an AI, so it learns from its failures, choosing to send back a more advanced Terminator model this time.
Hey, that's not Arnold.
Yeah, so future John also sent back a reprogrammed Terminator to protect him from the second attempt from Skynet, the one being the same as the one sent to kill his mother. Why, you ask? Because that's who John remembered saving him in the past.
And he comes with an awesome arsenal to do all of this. As a robot, he knows all types of pistols, shotguns, machine guns, etc. But he has his own all-around favorites. There's the iconic Model 1887 Winchester lever-action shotgun, a Colt 1911 hybrid handgun, the classic minigun, and my personal favorite, the M79 grenade launcher. It's like shooting bullets that explode. He also is entirely capable of using the same weapons as Terminator from T1, such as the head baller and Franke 12-gauge shotgun, better known as the Spaz 12.
Alongside those, he has a plasma rifle. Terminators seem to be able to store these rifles inside themselves, which easily fits into the Terminator's endoskeleton. This endoskeleton is made of coltan, and after a certain lava bath, it's now able to withstand a great level of heat. It's also built in with a scanning program that can precisely scan certain weak points in the body to prioritize.
And let's just clarify the Terminator we'll be focusing on, okay? Because there's a lot of these boys.
Yes, the Terminators went through multiple different models over the years, but today we'll be focusing on the basic Model T-800, since it's the one we have the most knowledge on, and that's, well, the one people usually focus on when it comes to the Terminator.
And deep inside this version of the Terminator lies 2 hydrogen fuel cells, which are his power source. But when damaged, it can be tossed out of the body and has the power of a small explosion. And the Terminator is still able to function fully with only one of them.
Alongside that, the Terminators are built with a scanning program to precisely scan an enemy's body and expose weaknesses to exploit for an advantage, along with an ever-evolving knowledge system making them some of the most trained and dangerous beings around. So much that their feats are incredible.
Yeah, let the time he got dragged through multiple buildings, fought several Terminators made to be better than the T-800 models, can punch people into concrete like it's nothing, through steels like paper, and then you remember those fuel cells that generate the Terminator's power? Well, it seems that one of them, when about to explode, is strong enough to cause this shockwave.
With the distance of the shockwave, the explosion caused around 8 tons of TNT. Sounds familiar.
Let's not forget the Terminator can't always tank these hits. He has to dodge them too. He can dodge bullets, of course, but also he was able to react to this missile at this range in the third movie. Given the distance of the missile, this would be around 2,700 miles per hour, or around the hypersonic ranges. Again, sounds familiar.
But even this near unbeatable machine has rust under the skin. The Terminators are made as a quick and easy development on the battlefield, meaning it can be easily hacked into, and has an awful track record of just being destroyed, both intentional and not.
But who cares about that? The Terminator is pop culture's most iconic assassin. Doesn't matter what you throw at them, they will always be back, ready to be more deadly than the last.
I'll be back.
What?
Okay, these combatants are set, let's settle this.
Will Nemesis be seeing stars, or will the Terminator be terminated?
Time for these two fictional characters to collide.
Come with me now.
I insist.
Skynet.
Oh, that can't be good for Skynet.
This battle was extremely close. Both had around the same level of destructive power, both have an army-sized arsenal, and both have programs made for scanning specific things about their opponent.
But the Terminator did have experience over good old Nemboy. He has way more experience because of his contained combat data, and thanks to being non-organic, Nemesis wouldn't be able to turn and corrupt him into a mindless zombie.
But in the long run, that isn't enough, especially considering the two major factors in this fight: speed and survivability. Let's start with speed. Both are in the hypersonic ranges, being able to react to missiles, but given that Nemesis needed to react a bit faster, he slightly has the edge, and he needs that edge to be able to overpower Terminator.
Yeah, it might not look like too big of a gap on paper, but with a fight this close where only one slip up is needed, that slight speed goes a long way. What also goes a long way is Nemesis' own survivability. This guy has handled everything that the Terminator really couldn't. Being blown up, crushed, set on fire, a lot of this stuff destroyed the old endoskeleton killer multiple times. Yes, he did die to the railgun that we count at 3.5 tons, but we have to remember this was Nemesis on the brink of death. The entire night had him coming back from the death, with his body slowly mutating and deteriorating after each one. If this was Nemesis at his prime, it's fair to say it wouldn't have killed him as easily.
And yes, Terminator had one ace in the hole. His hydrogen fuel cell, which you could use to kill Nemesis since it's stronger than his own durability. Not only that would end in a tie, but Nemesis' slight speed edge could help him end the fight before he would even have the chance to use it, making it a mute option for the Terminator. Heck, even if he does use it, Nemesis is fast enough to get rid of it from a far enough distance to survive.
Terminator had a few advantages in situations where he could win, but Nemesis' slight speed edge and superior survivability gave him the victory.
This might be cliche, but it seems the Terminator got terminated.
The winner is the Nemesis. Next time on Fictional Characters Collide.